Hello MGTOW, hello men, this is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. I want to talk about the basic motivations of the male within Western civilization and how those motivations are twisted and diverted to serve women and to serve the state. But before I go into that, I want to make a couple quick corrections on my previous video. One, where I spoke about how social justice warriors, feminists, demonstrators are putting on a performance, a demonstration, and that they're like spoiled children. It's more than that. That kind of dismisses it. It's a brilliant tactic because it's guaranteed to work even if the demonstration completely fails. Because when they're acting like these spoiled children, it impresses upon the rational people, that they're dealing in this kind of a situation. Even if the people performing it are acting like spoiled children that don't know what they're doing, the people who are organizing it and setting it up are doing it calculated for its emotional effect. So it's a brilliant tactic. So it's not just, some stupid children acting in some stupid way, even though that's what it is, and that's what a lot of rational people will look at it and see it as. Don't look at it and see it as that. Look at it as something very intelligent, very calculated, that very manipulative people, feminists and collectivists, have put on a performance for that's going to work, whether or not the people are just a bunch of spoiled children. Another thing I mentioned that I need to correct, where men brag about their injuries, and I mentioned, this is such a female trait. It's not a female trait, it's something that the female encourages the men to do. Women don't brag about all of their scars and their injuries that they have incurred while serving men. They don't do it, but they praise men when men do that. And if you're talking to a blue pill man and he starts doing that and his wife is around, watch her, because she'll start to get a little nervous. And if you start to draw that man out about his injuries, about why his health suffered so much, his wife will get really nervous and will drag him out of the conversation because she knows that she has pushed him into doing all this work and making all this sacrifice, and she's flattered him into doing it. So I just wanted to make that correction. It's not a female trait, it's a trait that the female encourages. Now, let me talk about what I, said I wanted to talk about, which is the ambitions of the male in the Western civilization. Now, I have to go and talk about myself initially, but I believe that it can apply to a lot of other people. So let me tell you, okay? The first thing that I wanted to be when I was a little boy, nobody had to trick me into thinking it. Nobody had to tell me this is what I wanted to be. I didn't have to see a whole bunch of television programs. This was maybe 4 years old. What did I want to be, gentlemen? Okay? What did you want to be? The first thing that you wanted to be. And I know it's going to be the same thing in, 80% of cases. And tell me if I'm wrong. But the first thing that I wanted to be was a fireman. Don't make fun of it. Because I'm suggesting that 80% of all boys in Western civilization wanted the first thing to be firemen. Why? Why would I have wanted to be a fireman? Well, here's why. Because there would have been no doubt in my mind that I was doing good, that I was fighting something destructive, and that I was protecting other people by doing so. And I wasn't doing it for the glory, I wasn't doing it for the money, or I didn't want to do it as a little boy. I didn't even necessarily want to do it for the approval of those around me that I love. Because what did I know? I was only 3-4 years old. I wasn't going to be aware of their approval and their love yet. Not like, I have to earn it. I wasn't going to be aware of that yet. That comes later. So why did I want to do that? I didn't want to be rich. I didn't want to be famous. And I knew that by pursuing that I was putting myself at great risk, great harm. Now, as I got older, 5 or 6 years old, these ambitions, grew. I wanted to be maybe a fighter pilot or the president. The initial thing was, or a doctor, right? But I had to be convinced of that when I got older. Doctor didn't come until after, probably like 9 or 10, before I started to think about that. So, the fireman. And I know that people want to make fun of it. Don't make fun of it, because it's a pretty decent, noble ambition for a little boy to have, isn't it? And I suggest that 80-90% of all little boys have that same ambition. Because they know, it's so clear, that, oh, that's a job where I'm doing good, I'm protecting, I'm fighting something that's really destructive. Natural inclination. It's a good thing. It's a noble thing. I also want to talk about how you were able to make friends as a little boy, and how, you looked out for your friends. Maybe at first you were distrustful and frightened of them, but after a while, as a little boy, your friends, they become really important. And when you get in a fight with your friends or in a serious disagreement with your friends, you've got no one to play with. You have to think about compromises, getting along with people so that you can hang out and help each other and be friends. And it's an important thing, is what I'm saying. I remember, it's like, oh shit, I got in a fight with my friend, we've come into some disagreement over something, and now I'm stuck. I got nowhere to hang out, I got no one to play with, and it bothered me. Talking about these basic driving forces of the young male. But it doesn't take too long before the men become competitive with each other over the affections of women. It certainly didn't take long for me. 12, 13 years old, I was like, oh, I'm not really friends with that other guy. I'm competing with him for the affections of women. Which was really unfortunate, because it would have, what would have been nice is if I could have pursued the affections of women, which I've wanted to do at that age, and still been able to maintain my male friendships and relationships and continue to build those. But I wasn't able to do that. We became quite competitive, because we would stab each other in the back for the validation of women and for the state and for the system. But what I'm suggesting is that those initial ambitions, being a fireman, wanting to hang out with your friends, be part of the group, build up the group, maybe develop a fort, for the group and your friends to hang out at. And no, the women were not allowed in the fort, because if they were there, they would mess it up. They would infect the place. Those noble ambitions get moved over to the woman and over to the state and over to the corporate system, or the system where you're going to get paid, because that's what's important in life. The man is told, the young man is told. And that's the way he goes. And sure enough, that's where he gets the affection of women, and that's where he gets money, and that's where he gets the approval of the group that he's in. And he gets rewarded for that. And that could go on for the rest of his life. But it's not going to. He's going to lose his job. He's going to fall on hard times. He's going to fall down. He's going to need a little help here and there once in a while. And that's when he's going to find out, oh, this woman, this workplace, they're not my friends. Not like when I was a kid. They're just using me. And if I can't be of real use to them, they're going to get rid of me. So that's the rude awakening. That's the MGTOW awakening. And it's going to come to a man at some point. Because consider, men, MGTOW, that those ambitions that the young boy has of being a fireman, of having friends, building a fort. I know you want to make fun of them, but I'm just, from the basic noble, driving factor, that's what the little boy wants, and nobody has to teach him those things. Okay, but the point is this, is that do you think little girls have those same ambitions? They don't. They do not. They don't want to be firemen. They don't want to protect anybody. They don't want to be of service to anything. They don't want to fight anything. They don't want to stand shoulder to shoulder in a group and really build things. They don't want any of that stuff. They want a little baby. They want a little oven. They want little dolls. They want to play, little tea parties and little social engagements. You don't have to teach them any of those things. They want pretty things. They don't want to go run out and play and jump in the mud so much. Some of them do. It's the natural human thing. But, I'm just talking the natural inclinations. So those natural inclinations of the boy and the girl are different. And then the boy's natural inclinations get diverted over to serving the women and to serving the group so that he can get rewards, so that he can get more rewards. And I don't see how a young man is going to avoid going right into that system. I don't see how he is. But eventually, that system is going to, chew him up, spit him out, and he's going to start adopting MGTOW-like attitudes. Now, it's interesting, because when the man actually does come to that, and he's still encountering blue pill men, which is the majority of men, even within MGTOW, there's, beginning MGTOWs and then the men that are just coming in, and they haven't really experienced a lot of the other things, and they're still competitive with the other men, They're still like, well, I don't think he's a real MGTOW, or they're still like, those MGTOW are stupid, so they're competitive with other men. And, I always say I don't understand this, but I do understand this, right? It's that competition. It's that natural instinct that the male has, and it's twisted and perverted to serving women, serving the state, serving the corporation, serving whoever's, the larger group that's going to pay them. So yeah, how does that blue pill man get by? If he's not going to be a carpenter or a builder or something like that, and even if he is, he's still going to have to operate in this feminine gynocentric system where people exchange favors based on personality and who they like, based on who gets invited to the little girl's tea party. These natural, in order for the young man to get by in the blue pill world, he has to adopt the values of the blue pill world. He's essentially going to be given a rule book, and they make up all these rules about how people have to behave and how you have to cross the street and what you're allowed to smoke. They make up all these rules. Now, some of these rules are really good, like you can't steal from people, you can't kill people, you can't physically abuse people, but most of these rules are bullshit. When you and how you can cross the street, exactly what taxes you have to pay, things like that. These are just made up rules that people who can't actually produce and do things want to enforce upon the rest of the world so that they can extract wealth and resources from that world. And so that's your job in the blue pill world. You're going to get one of those rule books, and it might be for the government, it might be for the tax system, it might be for the legal system, it might be for the building board system, it might be for the educational system. You're going to get one of those rule books, and you're going to enforce that rule book. And those rule books essentially say that if the people around you break those rules, that the government fines them and gets to take money from them and gets to charge them particular fees. And by doing that, you get the approval of the rest of the blue pill world, and therefore you get your rewards. You get a percentage of the money that you, as a tyrant, extract out of your fellow people. Usually the people that are much worse off and less fortunate than yourself. So that's how you get ahead in the blue pill world. And if you're one of those independent people that is a producer that is on their own, all those rules and regulations, those are coming after you. And you're not getting the approval you're not getting invited to any little girls' tea parties, which are actually, useful networks as they, become adults. You're being excluded, and, you're being demonized and badmouthed at those groups and those gatherings if you're an independent, productive person, or you have those ambitions, or you don't follow along with the group. I mean, damn, people, you get punished just for not following along with the group, for expressing any sort of independent thought. I mean, I hear this when women, question feminism, how quickly feminists turn on them, because it's not a rational thing that you can question. It's a cult that if you don't follow, they're going to come after you. And that is one aspect that I think MGTOW needs to avoid. It needs to be very accepting of all men, of all different types of men. But there is this blue pill instinct within the men to be competitive with the other men. As I said, the young boy, he wants to be a fireman, he wants to be of service, he wants to work with the other men in the group, he wants to build the fort, he wants to have a safe place where, his back is covered, where he can then establish himself and build himself forward in the world and not have to worry that the man next to him, within his group, within his tribe, within his fort, is going to stab him in the back. Because there's enough people in the world that are going to stab him in the back. But that instinct within the male gets diverted and taken away so fast, it's by the time he's 12, 13 years old. He stops being friends with other men and starts competing with them for the affections of the women and for, the resources of the group so that he can impress the women. So now the man goes through that system, he gets his rule book, he goes through that system, and he's destroyed by that system because he's gonna fall down once in a while. He's going to lose a job once in a while. He's going to catch a cold once in a while. And he's not going to be able to do that job. So that's when he's going to have to go MGTOW. Anyway, it's been going on for a long time. I'm sure I'll come back to this subject another time because I think it's an important subject. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please join me again, Howard Dare, as I hope to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.